Hello everybody, I am Lord Redfern and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a very short breakdown of the brand new leaked Witch Queen trailer that has just hit YouTube. Now this trailer isn't even in HD, and that is because it has not been officially released by Bungie. At the moment it appears to be a Google AdSense trailer that somebody has been able to find and has posted to YouTube, and Paul Tassi has already done a review of the trailer, but I thought I'd also give the trailer a bit of a look, a bit of a breakdown, and see what I can spot and kind of my thoughts on the trailer. Obviously yes, this trailer is not even been officially released by Bungie yet. But from what I can tell, it's supposed to be a look at the coming exotics in the Witch Queen. One, of course, we already know, which is the Osteo Striga, which is the SMG. But we're going to get a look here at some of the brand new exotics that we haven't even seen or been told about as yet. So without further ado, let's watch this trailer in full, and then let's break it down straight after. So here is the trailer. As you can see, the video quality is not very good. We're going to watch the 15-second trailer first all the way through, and then I'm going to go back and break down the trailer and point out the things that I have noticed. So without further ado, here we go. Okay, so yeah, very short, but a lot of things kind of crammed in there all in one go. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this. First weapon that we see is, I'm going to go ahead and say, is an exotic ARC LMG being used here by the Titan. We don't have a new weapon type in the game other than the Glaive. If there was another weapon type other than the Glaive, Bungie would make a lot of news and be screaming and shouting all about it. Obviously, they've made a lot of kind of screaming and shouting noise about the fact that the Glaive is a new weapon. So this isn't some kind of brand new shock kind of weird rifle. It's either going to be an LMG or some kind of epic awesome linear fusion or something like that. Probably linear fusion due to the next shot. As the way it's being fired in this next shot, you can see this giant beam of light coming out here, this continuous beam of light. So it's either going to be an LMG, it does look like an LMG, or some kind of just giant beefed up linear fusion rifle. The next shot that we go to is of the Warlock. Now, the Warlock is using a brand new exotic grenade launcher. It's got a lot of, pyramid style vibes to it with kind of the dark and curved aesthetic. It's very, very nice to look at. It has got some hive runes here and there as well. But the most important thing about this exotic grenade launcher is that it fires hive worms as well, which is kind of crazy. Which means, in my eyes, that this exotic grenade launcher is not going to have an element to it. It's not going to be stasis or solar or arc or void. In my opinion, this is going to be just like Thorn, or just like the Osteo Striga, as we have kind of guessed that it's going to be a corruption-based exotic, which of course is also kind of the way we think the next subclass is going to be in Lightfall as well. So very, very cool. An exotic grenade launcher firing hive worms as well. So that'll be interesting to see what effect that has on enemies as well. The next shot, of course, is the Hunter using the Osteo Striga SMG. Obviously, we've seen this already. Of course, we already know the name of it as well. We've seen some clips of it killing, obviously, enemies, and when those enemies die, they've released this kind of effect of like a Thorn effect as well, of that kind of corruption spreading as well, just like the exotic gauntlet for the Warlock that we currently have in the game as well, the necrotic grips. So yeah, we kind of already know how this weapon's going to work, and of course we know its name, and it's going to have a catalyst in the Witch Queen as well, and you get that if you pre-order the Witch Queen Deluxe Edition as well. So very, very cool. The next shot, moving on, is going to be looking at what I am going to assume are 3 brand new exotic glaives. I'm going to explain why I think this is not just one exotic glaive that then changes depending on which kind of character is using it. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is the Titan exotic glaive. The reason I'm saying that is, 1, it's glowing purple, and that means it's going to be a void subclass glaive. 2, of the way its model is shaped, and that will make more sense in a minute as well. And 3, the fact that when you fire it in this alternate mode, it puts a bubble down. This is an exotic weapon, or just a weapon in Destiny, that actually directly allows us to do something with our super. There are no exotics in the game. There's no kind of weapon at the moment in the game. It's not like a sword for the Warlock that allows you to do a Dawnblade style slash. That doesn't exist. This is the first time we've ever seen an exotic weapon, or a weapon at all in Destiny, have a direct connection to our super, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, that's why I think this is a Titan-specific glaive as well. Now, bearing in mind, while looking at the model is kind of very simple. It's kind of only got one blade to it, and it kind of also seems to click and kind of fold a little bit. Now, moving on to the next exotic glaive that we see being used after the Titan uses the bubble firing mode is this one, which looks very, very fancy. It's got all these prongs on it. It's very, very nice. It's glowing orange, and it seems to put down an empowering or healing orb rift kind of thing that, of course, then sends out seekers that will empower or heal other guardians on your fire team as well. And you can actually see this orb being tracked and going towards the hunter. I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is the Warlock exotic glaive, and unlike the other glaive that we just saw, which is tied to the top tree Sentinel subclass where it can put down a bubble, this Warlock exotic glaive, I'm going to head and assume is linked to the Well of Radiance style, subclass part of that solar super, because it allows you to empower and heal teammates by putting down this kind of orb that seeks out fellow guardians. Moving on to the final glaive that we get an extremely brief look at is what I'm going to go and ahead and assume as the Hunter exotic glaive. This one is firing some form of arc Strider style shot. We don't get to see the effect that this arc shot has on this group of enemies in front of us here, unfortunately, because the shot cuts to end of the frame before anything kind of exciting happens. We do get a very, very good look at the model for this weapon in this shot. As you can see, this looks completely different to the Titan one at the start. This has got multiple prongs. It's far more fancy. It looks much more like, this looks like a kind of a harp, and this looks like a giant battle axe. The Titan one didn't look like that at all. This looks just like the Warlock one, really. But of course, it's firing a different element. So, in my assumption, 3 exotic glaives, 1 for the Titan, 1 for the Warlock, and 1 for the Hunter. One being a Void Bubble style exotic glaive, the second being a Solar Dawnblade style healing, empowering Rift glaive, and the final one being tied to the Hunter's Arc Strider. We don't know which tree, but an Arc Strider style super glaive as well. So 1 for each class. Of course, that isn't something new to Destiny. We do have kind of weapons in the game that are kind of class specific as well. Of course, we've got all the swords. We've got things like Eternal Blazon and Quickfang. Those are class specific weapons which can only be used on either a Hunter or a Warlock or a Titan, not all 3. Moving on now away from the exotic glaives, we get this fantastic shot of our 3 guardians who are about to take on Savathun. Now, each of the guardians here is using 2 exotics, and this is why I think that is. 1, you've got the Titan up front using what would appear to be the brand new Arc LMG or linear fusion rifle. But of course, also, we've got the Titan using this kind of brand new exotic helmet as well. Now, this is either a brand new exotic helmet or it is an ornament for a exotic helmet that we already have in the game. It looks fantastic. It's glowing with horns. It looks very golden and demon and godlike. It's very, very cool. So an exotic weapon and an exotic armor piece. The Hunter here on the left is using the Osteo Striga exotic weapon and would appear to be using an exotic set of gauntlets as well due to those pauldrons there. Once again, it's either going to be a brand new exotic pair of gauntlets or it is a ornament for a set of exotic gauntlets we already have in the game. So going off the fact that the Titan and the Hunter are both using an exotic weapon and an exotic piece of armor, we are going to go and assume that the Warlock is also using an exotic weapon and an exotic piece of armor. Now, we can tell that the exotic weapon that the Hunter is using, this is actually the exotic grenade launcher that we saw earlier in the trailer that fires those hive worms. What the armor that the Warlock is using, I can't quite tell from this shot. It doesn't look like it's the robes, because those robes are the darkness robes, from what I can tell, that we have seen in all of the trailers for the Warlock. I don't think it's the helmet, because the helmet looks very generic too. So it's either going to be an exotic bond. I pray for exotic class items to come back into the game, or it's going to be an exotic pair of gauntlets, or an exotic pair of leg armor, but we can't tell as of yet. And in the next shot, as our three Guardians jump towards Savathûn, we get this very good shot of a lot of things happening at once. The Titan in the middle with that glowing helmet is obviously using that brand new exotic ARC, LMG or linear fusion rifle. You got the Warlock on the left firing that hive worm from the exotic grenade launcher. You've got the Hunter on the right here using the Osteo Striga, and I'm going to ahead and assume that this is some kind of alternate firing mode, as these look like corruption kind of bullets, but they're not firing like an SMG normally would fire. These are giant chunking projectiles that are going towards Savathûn. And then of course we've got Savathûn right in the middle, who is casting a giant Nova bomb right at our three Guardians here. And that is unfortunately how the trailer ends, as the Guardians go up in a big flash of light, and then you get the title of the DLC. So there you go, guys. That is my quick breakdown of the exotics look for, the brand new exotic trailer for the Witch Queen. 3 new potential exotic glaives, and then of course exotic gauntlets, exotic helmet, and then maybe exotic, I don't know, class item maybe for the Warlock. Let's hope and pray. Exotic grenade launcher as well, and then of course a potential exotic LMG or linear fusion rifle. And then of course we already have the Osteo Striga, which is the exotic SMG, shipping with the Witch Queen as well. So very cool. Very, very cool. 3 glaives, 3 weapons, and 3 sets of armor as well in this trailer. Very, very exciting. If you did enjoy this breakdown, then please do consider leaving me a like and a subscribe. If you didn't like it, a dislike. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.